Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, actually. If you can hear me, please let me know. Just say yes, you can hear me. Doing a little bit of a different setup today. Got caught at work just a little bit later than anticipated. So if you can hear me, let me know. Please. Great. And we can get started. Just going to do. Great. I can be heard. Can hear me? Can hear me good? That's great. That's great. Thank Pastor Randy for just an awesome word. She came from You Play Too Much. And it's just amazing how when God aligns people to speak his word and to impart wisdom on others, how everything so closely aligns to one another as to direction, thought process. It just lets us know that we are all in, the process. So we're coming today from Matthew 21 and 22. However, I will be going from Matthew 21:18 to 22. And I'll be reading from the New International Reader's Version. I usually am a King James person, and I have begun, as I'm doing more studying and more speaking, I am liking the New International Reader's Version a lot. So let's just jump right into this word. Early in the morning, Jesus was on his way back to Jerusalem. He was hungry. He saw a fig tree by the road. He went up to it, but found nothing on it except leaves. Then he said to it, "May you never bear fruit again." Right away, the tree dried up. And when the disciples saw this, they were amazed. "How did the fig tree dry up so quickly?" they asked. Jesus replied, "What I am about to tell you is true. You must have faith and not doubt. Then you can do what was done to the fig tree. And you can say to this mountain, 'Go and throw yourself into the sea,' and it will be done. If you believe, you will receive what you ask when you pray." And I'm going to come from a topic on this evening as what is your faith language? Sometimes we talk about our faith walk. We talk about a lot of things, but what is your faith language? This is a part of the Bible. This is around the time where, Jesus on earth, he is doing, signs and wonders, miracles left and right. People are being healed because of the faith that they have within them, that he can do whatever it is. If they just have that little bit, he can deliver them. And what happens is when he came up to this fig tree, he expected it to have figs. And when it didn't have figs, and he was like, "So, because you don't want to do what you were supposed to do and purpose to do and what your soul environment to do, I'm just going to cease you from doing anything anymore." And how many times in our lives we wonder what is going on? Why is it going on? And we said we prayed, we're just walking with Christ. We're believing in what he says. However, you have not spoken to the thing that is holding you back, that is no longer bearing fruit in your life. You have not spoken to it and cast it out from your life because you're wondering why you're still in this position. Now, I can say from experience, I was wondering, I was in a not great relationship. Won't go into too much detail. Don't want to put people out. But I kept saying, Lord, what's going on? Like, I've prayed, I've asked for you to turn this around. It's not happening. And the Lord said to me, he's like, "That's nice, you're praying." He's like, "But you haven't spoken to the thing in which is no longer bearing fruit in your life. That's sucking you dry because it is dead." So we sometimes attach ourselves to people, to things, to jobs, to situations that is sucking us dry and that is dead. And we're wondering why we're not bearing fruit. And so we're thinking, we're believing, and we're working, and we're doing all this stuff, and we're not. And what it is when you go through these things and you do these things, you begin to wonder like, Lord, I'm praying, I'm doing this, but are you really believing him? Do you really have faith that when you say something, when you move, when you operate, that is going to happen? And there was a point in my life that I was just speaking it to speak it. I was just speaking it to speak it, and I was just moving along in the situation. And a recent situation, I have been in ministry since probably 7 or 8 years old. And I've always sang, I've always ministered in song. That was a joy, and it was a passion. It was a love. And what I did was I aligned myself with a particular ministry that was not God's directive and God's word and God, what he needed for me in my life. And so in that aspect, I, continued on. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, I just completely stopped singing. I stopped ministering. I stopped doing praise team. I just lost the joy of doing and serving God in that capacity. So I remember going to my godmother's funeral, and I remember my god sister asking me, she's like, so why aren't you singing and why aren't you ministering? It's something that you always loved. And I just was like, oh yeah, I'll get to it or whatever. And she said to me, she said, you have to distance yourself from the thing that is sucking you dry. You have to remove yourself from it, because if you don't, they're preventing you. That situation is preventing you from moving forward in your purpose and doing what God has purposed you to do. So you're asking for a breakthrough. You're asking for a miracle. You're asking him to do exceeding and abundant things in your life, but you refuse to let go and cast out the one thing that you know is causing the disruption in the universe for you. And I came home and I thought about it. I thought about every source of stress, every source of strife, every heartache, every cry that I had, it was attached to this particular organization. And so one day I just said, you know what, this is it. I am done. And when I said done, it didn't matter if I was working on something. I turned over files. I deleted everything that was associated with them, with me. I completely wiped it out. When I did that, it was like loads and boulders was just lifted off of me. And then all of a sudden, and not me saying all of a sudden, the thing that I was praying for happened. That love for music came back. It was, reignited. Me reading my word and praying and being able to seek solid counsel. I was just surrounded by those who wanted to minister, who wanted to serve God. And it was amazing because I had allowed myself to be shrouded in a light that was darkness, but that was my choice. So now when I see things are happening, I begin to look at, what am I doing? Who's around me? Who have I surrounded myself with? Is that season in my life open? Is that season in my life closed? Should they even be a part of the theater of my life? Is this the person or the situation that is just sucking me dry? And once I evaluate that and I realize what that is, I speak to it and cast it out of my life. And in doing that, it renews my spirit and my purpose and my joy. And I begin to proceed and progress in the path that God has told me and directed me that he wants me to go in. And every day can be a challenge. It is not going to be peaches and creams, hunky and dory. It's not going to be. You have your challenges, and I'm a personal witness to it. And I just like to be transparent at this point, because so many people are out there struggling and hurting and feeling like that. If I don't follow the word to the T, I'm going to hell. Or if I happen not to pray one day, I'm going to hell. Or God doesn't love me. And that is not the truth. I have been in this walk for over 30 years. And trust me, the closer I get to him, the more there's trials and tribulations, the more that there's obstacles, but also the blessings are abundant. I've noticed that my greatest trials produces my greatest triumphs. Things that I didn't even imagine was possible has opened up because I have been obedient and I have been transparent, and I've just said, you know what, Lord, I'm having my worst day today. I'm having a bad day today, but I know you're able, and I'm going to go into this situation and I'm going to do what you told me to do, and I'm going to uplift you, and I'm going to praise you, and I am going to provide a light for those who need it. And that is what my job is supposed to be, is to be that light, to be that voice of reason, so that when someone else comes, it's just like, you know what, she went through that, but she made it on the other side. Yes, she struggled, but you know what, look at where God has brought her. You know, he has what God has called us to do. He's called us to love. And doesn't matter what is going on, who it is. We have been wronged by some of the people that love us the most, or we pour into the most. And that doesn't negate the fact that we still have to love them. We forgive them and we moved on. That doesn't mean that they have to be a part of your life, part of your circle. What that does mean is that if in a time of crisis or in dire need and you're able to provide, you do so according to the word. That means when you're on your knees lifting up prayers for those around you, they're included in those prayers. That means if all the world is shaking, if they was to call you tomorrow and say, listen, I need somebody to pray for me, that's what you do. It has nothing about the fact that, oh, they hurt me back in the day now, and they did this. Now, I'm going to be honest. I was not always this way. I, as a survivor of child abuse, and when I was really like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not forgiving them. I'm not praying for them. I'm not showing them any kind of love. But what I realized, I was the one still suffering. I was the one that was still going crazy, wondering if I was going here and there, headaches all the time, not just being peace in myself. They've gone on with their lives. So yes, I forgave. And I saw someone said, forgetting is harder than forgiving. And you are absolutely right. It is. As a survivor of abuse, I have those moments where I remember certain things and I hurt, and sometimes I may cry, but I still am going to pray for that person, because then when I remember that hurt, what I then think about is what happened to them or what happened in their life that they don't have peace and that they're hurting. And that the only way that they can make through, the only way that they can push through is to hurt someone else. And once you identify that when someone hurts you, it isn't because they're trying to be malicious or whatever. They have deep-seated hurt that they have not realized, identified, or they're still trying to bury. And the more you bury it, the more you act out. And I'm a witness because I've gone through it. And it's just like you want to hurt and you want to do all these things to people. But usually when you walk into, I remember that so-and-so did that to me. but I'm still going to forgive them, and I'm going to love them, and I'm going to pray covering and love over them, that at some point in their life that they allow God to open their heart and heal them so they can walk in the purpose and the divine purpose that he has for them, so that they can open their heart to allow somebody to love them unconditionally, that can help them heal and move forward, so that they can give their gifts and their talents to the world. And it's not easy. It's not. With God, we are imperfect humans that strive to be perfect. And I want you to understand that the only time we will be completely perfect is when we close our eyes. When we close our eyes, that is when it's going to be perfection. But until then, it is a daily walk, a daily trial, a daily challenge. Every test is a testimony. Every test is a testimony. It is for you to identify what the purpose is, where you need to move, how you need to move. It can be so hard sometimes. It can. And people can be so cruel. So it can be hard for you to speak life. It can be hard for you to have faith that when you open your mouth, that things are going to go and do the way you need them to be according to the word. Because sometimes we are so beaten down and we have been silenced the majority of our lives that we don't understand that our words have power. Because we've been ignored, or we've been told to, go over there, and we don't know that our words have power. They have meaning. And so it's hard when someone says, you can do this. It's hard to believe it. It is. It's very hard to believe it. But at the end of the day, when you align with Christ and his work and his vision, and you're reading your word and you are seeking him in prayer, he allows and allow him to intercede and to be a part of that. He helps the walk. He moves it along. He does. He truly does. And I'm a witness that he will do it. I can say just things that has happened to me in the past 90 days, not even 90 days, the past 30 days, because I've decided that I am going to cast out and speak against the things that are sucking me dry, that are no longer having, fruit or no longer bearing purpose in my life. And I've seen the actual actions happen. I've seen doors open that I didn't even know was even possible. He has blessed me with opportunities that never even crossed my mind. Never. So when you do that, once you begin to see that, and yes, there are setbacks. I have setbacks. I'm going to do a quick story and, I'm going to end it all. What I've noticed is that we do Preaching in Pink every Friday, just about every Friday. And what I've noticed is there would be something that happens at work where I couldn't get to my home office, so I use my conference room at work, or, I will bring everything and do my setup. I'll be extremely late for work. The trains are late. The buses are late. The car may break down. Something always tends to happen on a Friday in which I commit. And it clicked this morning to me. Like what I did this morning is I said, I'm just going to bring my phone. I'm going to bring my mic. I'm going to be able to leave early anyways. I says I'm be able to leave work early on time. And I can get into my home office. I have my full setup there. I didn't bring anything. I didn't bring a laptop or anything with me because I was going to get home on time. And we're talking, the train, I get there, we're waiting 45 minutes. All there's about 4 trains that usually go through by that time. Nothing. I'm late for work. It is crazy. It's busy. I don't just have any time. So it was like 6 o'clock finally. And I said, I get it now. He wants to see what he can do to stop me, to shake me, to to discourage me from doing what I'm doing. And what it made me realize is that there's purpose in what I'm doing. Is it out of my comfort zone? Yes, it is. Do I, wonder or falter or have a little bit nervous about what I'm saying and how, I'm imparting to people and who am I reaching and praying that what I say imparts wisdom and love and hope on someone? Yes, I do. But what I'm learning is that every time he throws an obstacle, he is scared of me getting on this platform and speaking and sharing my truths and sharing my transparency and sharing my story. So once I became that realization, you know what I said? I was like, you know what, devil? Not today, not ever. When you had the chance is when you should have took me out. That is another topic. I'll do another scope on that, because when you think about a lot of us who is walking and is trying to do good, a lot of us has been abused from the womb. From the time we was conceived to the time we was born to the time we've grown up, matured, and in our adulthood, we've experienced some type of abuse. And when you think about it, when he comes for you, he is trying to stop your purpose, your praise, and your power. He's trying to stop it from a very, very early age, because if he can knock it out, then he doesn't have anybody else to come against him. So for those of you who think it's, you're having a hard time and you just don't have no purpose and it's no, you don't know where you're going, you have purpose, you have life, you have hope. And my prayer is that you embrace that. My prayer is that you embrace the love that God has for you and that we at Pink Pulpit has for you. We love you. We are always praying for you. We make it our point and our effort to be out here to service you. And yes, it's, could be trials and could be tribulations, but it is what we've been called to do. No longer, we can no longer play games. We no longer can hide. We're out here to be transparent, to love, and to show the light in which Christ has given us. My prayer is that this has reached you, has touched you, and has held you. So until next time, at least next Friday, I probably believe it will be the next scope. I will probably try to do one tomorrow to discuss some other things just to, for those who are looking for additional things. If you have a prayer request, you can send, if someone can put the Preaching and Pink email address up, if they can send some prayer requests, or if they can put my email up, it's juanitaegaynor@gmail.com. If you have a prayer request, a prayer testimony, whatever it is, you're looking for, if something's going on, it's like, I'm having an issue, I'm in trouble, whether it's any type of violence, just, reach out. We have resources that we can connect you to. Prayer, we can pray. We can do a lot of things. So if you have those, definitely, reach out to us. So until next time, we love you. We pray God keeps you, strengthens you, and that you are staying in his love. You have a wonderful evening, and we will chat soon again.